Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Y'all, if you understood the struggle that I have been having trying to get this video recorded, I know this has to be something good that I'm talking about because it has been madness for the past hour. Literally, I've had to do this 6 or 7 times. So hopefully this time will stick and I can move on. So again, happy Thursday. Today is my thought-provoking Thursday video. And I decided to do it as a video instead of doing Periscope because I know that there are people who don't have Periscope, so they can't view it. And after a couple of days, the Periscope video goes away, so they can't go back. So I decided to do a video, post it on Facebook, post it on Twitter, so people can share it. But today's, shout out to my dad, because my father downloaded Periscope to his iPhone so that he could watch my scopes on his phone. So whoop whoop to daddy, for being supportive and downloading one more app onto his iPhone just for me. So thanks, Dad. All right, so today's Thought-Provoking Thursday, we are going to talk about, I'm not going to tell you yet. What I want to do is I want to show you a picture of something, and I want you to tell me what it is. So that's where we're going to start. So I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to think about what it is. And I know I just said tell me what it is because I'm thinking I'm on Periscope, but I'm not, but whatever. So, are you ready? Hope so. So, what is this? Zooming in for you, turn around so you can see it. What is it? Well, the author of a book that I'm going to share with you in a little bit, shortly, said that when he was a sophomore in high school, he was in one of his classes and his teacher drew this on the board and asked them, what is it? So they kind of looked, and having taught high school, I already know what the face looked like. I am very clear on the looks that they gave each other, like, is she seriously asking us what this is? So finally, a student raised his hand and said, it's a blob on a board. And the whole class went, yeah, it's a blob on a board. Can we get on to the lesson now? But instead of getting on with the lesson, the teacher looked and said, wow, blob on a board. Okay. I'm a little disappointed. And they looked and they were like, why? And she said, because I asked a bunch of kindergartners yesterday what this was, and they gave me the coolest responses. One student said that this was black spaghetti that was only eaten by vampires. Another student said it was the eye of a dinosaur. Another student said that it's what a bug looked like after it's been squished by an elephant. So the students just kind of looked and said, well, that's because they're children and they don't know that there's supposed to be a right answer. And the right answer is that it's a blob on a board. And the teacher said, no, that's a right answer. But there's always more than one. There's a second answer. Could be a third answer. So tonight I'm going to talk briefly to you about how to get out of your own way, how to get out of your own box, how to disturb your own universe. Because the point is that if we are going to disturb our universes and the universes of people around us, and we're really going to change the world, we have to change how we think, or we have to reach back to how we used to think when we were kids, which is asking the question why. There's an old adage that says that students enter into school as question marks and they end as periods. And the first time I heard it, I said, wow, that's really profound. And the second thing I thought of was, wow, that's really depressing. Because the world is full of adults who used to be question marks. But now we're all periods. Which means that we're sort of stuck in this box, in this rut, where we don't question anything anymore because we have been taught that there is a right answer and there's a right way. But that's not how problems get solved. You know, that's not how we find solutions to things. And you think about the true innovators in the world, they didn't just stick with one answer. They weren't just satisfied with one right answer. They kept questioning and questioning and questioning and questioning and asking why and what and where and who and why again. Again, they reached back to their childhood. They reached back to when they were children and continued to question until they found an answer that satisfied their curiosity. or satisfied the problem that they were trying to solve. So again, because we're talking about disturbing the universe, for some people this is really uncomfortable. You know, there are students and there are people who like the stability that comes with there being one right answer. And yes, and in many instances there is one right answer. 1 plus 1, for example, is always going to be 2. It's never going to be 2.5. It's never going to be 1 3/4. It's going to be 2. The letter H is always going to represent hydrogen on the periodic table. The letters He, helium. It just is. The letters Na, sodium. It just is. And that's stable and that feels good. And that's completely comfortable. But if the purpose is to get out of our comfort zones so that we can do bigger and better and greater things, then that means that we have to come to the realization that there may be more than one right answer to something. So, let me give you an example. In my class, there were 2 rules, and I taught high school for 10 years. And the first 5 weeks of each year, I had to spend teaching my kids how to think because they didn't know how. Okay, that's not true. They did know how, but they hadn't been asked to think in so long that they had forgotten how. What do I mean? I mean that they had reached the point in their education where they were told, here's the problem, here's how you solve the problem, remember how to solve the problem so that when you get on the test, you can give the correct answer to the problem, and then we can move on. So when they got to my class, and we would have discussions or I would ask them questions, we had lots of moments of uncomfortable silence. Because I would say, so why do you think the character did this? And they would be quiet. And then someone would give a really, really obvious answer, and I would say, okay, that's great. Now give me another right answer. And they would look at each other, and they're like, well, what do you mean another right answer? I said, another right answer. Oh, what, you thought that was the only right answer? No. There's second, third, fourth, fifth. What's another right answer? And it took them a minute to get comfortable enough to kind of take a risk. Because I don't know if you know this, most people are afraid to fail. And they're afraid of looking stupid, especially teenagers. Adults too. So once we come up with an answer, we're usually real hesitant to find another one because what if we sound dumb, or what if we're wrong? And then my response was always, well, what if you are wrong? Is the sky going to fall? Is the world going to end? If you're wrong, just go look in another direction. So there were 2 rules in my classroom. 1, there is no right or wrong answer, simply what you can prove. Now, yes, in English, there are right and wrong answers. A noun is always going to be a person, place, or thing. But when solving a problem, you never stop with just what the acceptable answer is. Because the fact of the matter is that you may be the one person to come up with a solution that no one in the universe has ever come up with. And as long as you can prove that what you are saying makes sense, then that counts as a right answer. So, rule number 1. Rule number 2, and my best genie from the Aladdin voice, don't look for the right answer, look for a right answer. And when I asked my kids, what's the difference between the right answer and a right answer, they knew. The right answer means there's only one. A right answer means that there's more than one. Yeah. So that's how we approach problem solving. That's how we get out of our comfort zone. That's how we disturb the universe and say we actually let our brains grasp the idea that there is more than one way to solve a problem. So I went to a office building one day. And when I walked in, I immediately said, oh my God, I would love to work here. First of all, it was all sort of glass and chrome, and it was wide open. And there were desks, and on the desks there were toys and things to help stimulate, the brains of the people who were sitting there. But what really got me were 2 things. One were the walls. The walls were completely white, and they were made of the same material as whiteboards. And then as employees were working, if they got a great idea, they would go to the whiteboard and they would doodle, or they would draw a diagram, or they would draw a picture, or they would leave a note to somebody and say, hey, I got this idea, what do you think? totally free to be creative and innovative. And I was like, oh man, I would love to work here because that's totally me. Then I looked to the left, and on the wall it said, creativity is just intelligence having fun. Let that sink in. When was the last time you let your intelligence have some fun? When's the last time that you were in an environment where you were allowed to let your intelligence have fun? Think about it. Probably been a while. Yeah. So if we are really going to disturb the universe, if we are really going to just kind of embrace this idea of doing things differently, then we've got to let our intelligence have some fun and be creative and be childlike, not childish, but be childlike again and question. If you're a teacher, encourage your students to question. I know it can be annoying. I know you want them to just be quiet and get the lesson and move on. But if you really want to learn, if you really want them to learn, then the best way for them to learn is to figure it out on their own. Yes, you guide. Absolutely. You give them the pieces to build the house, but then you let them build the house however they want to. And I know in the age of testing, that just sounds counterintuitive. But the fact of the matter is, testing is killing our kids. It's killing their intellect. It's killing their creativity. We got to bring some of that back. Because innovators, the next generation of designers and musicians and engineers and the people who are going to solve the problems of the world are sitting in our classes right now. Now, if you're an adult and you don't teach, you're thinking, how does this apply to me? What are some problems that you want to solve? And have you really thought about all of the options that there are to solve them? Have you looked at this and turned it around and zoomed in and backed up and stood on the table and looked at it on the floor? Have you done all of that? And that's what I want to encourage you to do today. Is I want to encourage you to tap into that creative sphere, tap into that creative side. And for some of you, that's going to be really uncomfortable because you're math people or you're science people, and if it doesn't fit into this box and there's not a right answer, that's uncomfortable. That's scary. Yeah, it is. But it's okay. And for those of you who are like, well, what if I try this and I fail? Well, I'll tell you what I tell my kids. Is the sky going to fall? Is the world going to end? Because if the sky's not going to fall and the world's not going to end, it's okay to fail. What it's not okay to do is not try. And I was listening to part of a TED Talk from James Cameron, who is the director of Avatar and Titanic. And he said something that really stuck with me. He said, failure is an option. Fear is not. Can't be afraid of this thing. And again, I'm walking this disturbed universe journey with you. Even though it's something that I've been doing in my classroom forever and I teach my kids to do it, this is the first time that I'm actually stepping out on my own and I'm actually taking my own advice. So, before I end this video, I want to share a book with you. And the book is called A Whack on the Side of the Head. How You Can Be More Creative. Now, there's a reason why I'm sharing this book with you, because my father is an intellectual. He's also a reader. And this was actually one of the first books that he gave me when I was in middle school. Because he said, I don't ever want you to lose the ability to be creative. Because I was that kid. I was that creative kid. I was the one who would go into this is a very true story. I'm the kid that read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in the front closet of my house with a flashlight because I wanted to experience and I wanted to imagine what it would be like to be those characters. Don't laugh at me, stop laughing at me. If you ever read Shonda Rhimes' book, The Year of Yes, she used to play with the cans of peas in her pantry. So we're not that different. But I was a writer and I was a dreamer and I believed. I did. I was full of wonderment. By the time I got to junior high school, I was jaded. I had some teachers who really had sucked the creative life out of me. They had sucked my self-confidence out of me. And my father saw that. And so he made me read this book. This is the one book of maybe 5 that are not education related that completely transformed the way I teach and the way I interact with my kids. But it also is a really good book if you feel stuck. If you feel stuck in a box. And in my house, my father would always say 2 things. 1, we don't believe in boxes. We blow up boxes. Okay? Then the other thing he would say is the easiest way to get out of a box is to not get in a box in the first place. And it's really difficult sometimes not to get into a box because either A, people put us in there, or B, we put ourselves in there because it's comfortable. You know, we like our comfortability. We like our status quo. But again, remember the purpose of Disturb the Universe is to get out of our comfort zone, to see things differently. We want to change the world. Don't we want to change the world? That's what we want to do, right? Not just the world around us, but the worlds of our families, our own world. We want to take a step out and try something new because, you know, life is really boring if you do the same thing every day. So, thought-provoking Thursday assignment is I want you to tap into the childlike aspect of your life and think of a problem that you want to solve in your life. If you're an educator in your classroom, if you're in corporate, in your business, if you're an entrepreneur, with your clients. And I want you to flip it on its head. I want you to start thinking about ways that you can solve the problem or get a solution that are out of the ordinary. Because I promise you, you are going to be amazed by what you come up with. And again, if you fail, not the worst thing that could happen. The other thing that my father taught me a long time ago, and one day I'll do a Periscope on this. It's a phrase that I taught my students. Failure is temporary. Defeat is permanent. The difference between the two is failure means falling down, but choosing to get back up. Defeat means falling down and choosing not to. Let that sink in. So, again, assignment for this week, try something new, think of a problem you want to solve, turn it on its head, look at it from a different perspective, and see what you come up with. Tap into the childlike aspect of your life and ask why, and continue to ask why, and continue to ask how and what, until you get an answer that suffices. That's it for me. Again, it's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. Welcome to the weekend. Hope this was helpful, and I will see you on Sunday, where I will be doing a Periscope, and hopefully I'll be able to save the video for your Strengthen You Sunday moment. So have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.